All right, welcome back. Thanks to the new subscribers and everybody who's been liking and commenting to the Watcher's Alchemy. My name's Ryan. Today we are going to be talking about the narcissist, probably in a way you've never heard before. Tina Light was asking me to give my opinion, and I'm glad she phrased it that way. Have I ever heard of it? What do you think about it? The narcissist template. Now, this is we need to start looking at energies that are negative and positive as templates. They are templates that manifest themselves into physical reality based on mathematical intelligence that exists in the fourth dimension that reflect off of both the first and second dimension. Their densities are so dense that these energies basically, in a layman's way of putting it, don't really know what else to do. And they just know that they are an echo and that they need to intelligently get back to where they were. So when we look at good energies and bad energies that manifest themselves into physical reality in our life, they are part of our resonance field when we are emotionally attached to them and when we try to figure them out emotionally. It can be very stressing and distressing. It can be actually very harmful to one's life path by getting stuck in this negative part of your resonance field. Okay, so having said that, if you are involved with a narcissist, if you know you're involved with a narcissist, and you feel that you are in serious trouble and in need of help, you need to seek that help out, and you need to make some serious changes. If you find yourself in a situation where it's like, well, I have nowhere else to go, I have nothing else to do, that needs extra special attention, and you have to stop telling yourself that there's nothing you can do. Starting there, okay? And we're going to get into a little bit of exercise in how we're going to come about this. You might not be able to make a move now, but preparing your mind frame and preparing all these intelligent valences, these intelligent mathematics come to life in your resonance field, stating to them and establishing your presence to them is your first key to solving this narcissist problem. Because what the narcissist template wants us to do is focus all of our attention into the actual people causing it. But we have to start looking at these people less like perpetrators and more like lab rats. Lab rats that carry very unique and specific viruses and parasites that are to be studied. Now, the only drawback to that is that we have fallen victim to these illusions. We've let them into our life and we've made some mistakes along that path. And instead of it showing us the light, our energy is being reverberated back to us in a negative way by the mirroring technique of the narcissist, which is just so a narcissist is a very powerful person. We can't really deny that. They have found a way to use their presence, to use their energy to divert truth and suck and draw energy and by manipulating people's life paths. And so that can be by keeping you in a box. Like, could be literally keeping you in a box. That's how horrible narcissists are. They're evil people that will do evil actions behind the scenes. And legal, the law, all laws of legitimacy cannot permeate through to relieve you of this victim mentality. Okay, so this is one of the first things that I really want to get. And sometimes I am a little sporadic going off in different directions, but this is one of the first focuses that I licked my lips, that pertain to this channel, okay? And my understanding of the narcissist template. The narcissist template is a lot bigger than just the people that we focus in on. There are energies that manifest this activity, this brainwave activity of the narcissist. But then there are also other energies that are symbiotic in a negative way with those energies that perpetuate the narcissist. So What it is, from my standpoints, this is why I started with letting you know that if you're in a serious situation, it is your responsibility and your accountability to get out of that. Okay, it is not my responsibility and accountability to tell you something that you think you don't already know according to your situation, and give you some kind of advice that's going to lead you one way or another, because everybody has different details of their life. Some people are stuck, and some people have a route out of the narcissist template. This could be a narcissist, or this could be a victim of a narcissist. They have a route out, but it is the compromise of their own personal story that they need to work out. What are they willing to do? In my case, for example, I don't want to talk too much about myself, but in my case, I became homeless to be able to mediate and ground this narcissist template in my life that was surrounding me everywhere, coming in from all sorts of areas and manifesting itself in the form of different people, and even, I'll admit, manifesting itself in my own brainwaves, my own actions. Having to come into gnosis of this and acknowledge it and have it in your awareness is crucial, because if you don't understand the components of a narcissist, all you're doing is projecting. You're projecting the victim mentality. Okay, so this channel does not promote victim stroking. After everything I have just said about it being a serious situation, it's your responsibility to get out of it. Okay, if it is not a serious situation, you don't find yourself being like, okay, I need to put this down for a second, and I need to assess my life because I'm in danger. If you're not in that situation, then this is what we're talking about. There are channels out there that want to just talk about the narcissist, and they make their money and they're living off of perpetuating the victim mentality of the narcissist. And so they get you to like and subscribe and tune in every day, and they have a new piece of wisdom that is the same circulating piece of wisdom around and around about the narcissist and how that pertains to how this thing or this thing is a person and not a system. See, it's in your resonance field. Otherwise, why would you be falling victim to it every time? If you were aware of it, then it would be integrated in a system to where your presence would be known to the narcissist, unable to be manipulated. Okay, so the template belongs not only to the person, but it belongs to the energies that perpetuate it. So these meaningful, they mean well, these channels. So I don't mean to bash them, but they might not know, and their audience might not know that this is a perpetuation, not really getting them out of it. Yeah, there's like a lot of, how to deal with it, how to acknowledge it, but in the end, it never goes back to around how this is your resonance field. You own this resonance field. This is a higher intelligence mathematical system that you are coming up into awareness to be able to understand. And in one aspect or another, it's to control it so it doesn't belong there anymore. Okay? Now, to get there, we have to go through the different dimensionalities and get out of the victim mentality. On this channel, we do not victim stroke. So we are not going to talk about, or I'm not going to talk about, how the narcissist has affected me, and I'm not going to talk about the different kinds of narcissism. You can go search that out and find that in a billion other resources. This is the Watcher's Alchemy isn't about that. Okay, the Watcher's Alchemy is about ascension, about alchemy, and has nothing to do with falling victim to a narcissist. It is in our resonance field, and we are stronger when we become aware of all the different functions that created in our life, and we can stamp it out in a heartbeat. Now, this isn't going to be the longest video ever. I am going to just get right into my opinion on how to solve this. Okay, so the things that the narcissist template feed off of is presence and acknowledgement. Okay, those sorts of energies. So if you're giving the narcissist template what it wants, then you're feeding its energy. That's pretty self-explanatory. And so the way to avoid this on the scale, remember that it's not a dire situation. Dire situations need crucial steps taken, and you need to remove yourself physically, the loved ones physically away, and you need to call help. This is not about that. This is about being able to to address the template in a malleable situation. You have sovereignty and you can work with it, but we just don't know how to. Okay, so silence and presence are the tools to battle the narcissist. First of all, if you know that this is part of your resonance field, that this template exists, then you need to be careful about how you give information and how you open up to people in general. Okay, if you can't identify the narcissist, then you need to be careful, and you need to practice silence. Okay, observation, and don't give out information, especially emotional and mental information about what drives you and what not, whatever, because that nice person is going to only be able to channel the narcissist template and feed their energy that way because they are that asleep. One second. So being quiet and being silent is your biggest tool, okay? Now, presence is a first dimensional dynamic and one of the biggest, hugest tools that blossoms like a flower, like this epic flower, once you've mastered presence, once you've mastered the first dimension of self. Self, like I mentioned in the last video, is your core. It's your presence. It's your first chakra all the way at the floor. And if you're sitting in a sitting position, doing your breathing techniques, you can feel your gravity connecting with the earth and pulling you as if you are an immovable object. Now, this might start off as something when you practice it. It's just explaining it that way is literally the practice. You're practicing your presence, and then when things come up to distract you, when things come up feeling negative, those are the things of the self dynamic, the first and second dimension that you need to work out within your core and your feelers, okay? And then once you feel more clarified, you will feel that dynamic presence and that gravity expanding and becoming more of an immovable object. So with silence and with presence, we have established ourselves in physical reality, and that echoes out into the higher dimensions. Now, we're talking about the narcissist person, but we're also talking about the narcissist template. And the narcissist template exists in the etheric, where we cannot see it. It is in a dimension that we can pretty much reach out and grab, but we're not going to actually feel anything. We're not going to actually see anything. But we know that they're there because the narcissist, for example, we can pick any template at all. If it's there from when we think back in our memory, from when we were born all the way to the present day, then we know it's part of our template. If we find ourselves going, I can't get away from narcissist, then that means it's part of our not our template, excuse me, our resonance field, which has many, many templates in it. Now, if it's not in there, then that's great. You're protected from it, and you won't see it, and you won't kind of grasp it. It's never going to really come up as a topic that resonates with your core. That means your purpose belongs somewhere else. So you run along. You don't need the narcissist, bogging you down. But understanding it and knowing about it will help you when it comes back around. Most people in the world these days have narcissists from when they are born. We have narcissist parents, and we can't really blame them too much after a certain point in our own evolution, or conscious evolution, because we realize that they didn't really have a choice in the beginning. They were not privy to the tools for one reason or another, and that makes us stronger. That makes us more special in our divine design. So we've gotten past the perpetuation, and we know that it's a template, and we know that we have to be aware every time it comes around, as if it's this series of experiments in this lab rat. Now, this gets more into seventh dimensional perception, because seventh dimensional perception is all the illusions and the things you fall victim to before you've been able to resonate with what is actually going to manifest in your physical reality that suits your best benefit. And you'll be able to tell these energies right away when you evolve these dynamics. So your presence and your silence, and you practice, like I mentioned in the last video, when you're around other people, you are confident in your presence, you don't need to push out your presence at all. At all. Your presence is something that seeds from the inside out. And when you're confident in it, and you're not so easily subject to the illusions of self and ego, then your resonance field will start to give you options of, well, how do you want to handle this part of your life that we've been dealing with now, Tina, moving forward. Now that you can see these configurations, now that you know that there's a good and bad side to each one has its own properties, its own consistency. Now that you're not to be fooled anymore, let's give you some options to work with. And that is where your presence and silence comes in, because then all of a sudden in your two-dimensional feelers, consciousness reaches out to you and highlights images in color, in brightness, and in light, and in sequence of events with other things that you were thinking. So as you were thinking, it's sitting there in your car waiting for whatever kid to get into the car. As you're thinking of this dynamic in your life and how to solve it, all of a sudden you reach this peak in awareness and understanding, and a specific idea comes into mind, and then all of a sudden something comes into your optical view. And then you look at it, you focus in on it, you realize it's there, and you realize that, I don't know, it could be another car, it could be a special license plate, or a color. It could be the color blue, and whenever you see the color blue, which is not necessarily such a natural color to the human perception at first, when we're really, really, really asleep. But when you start getting into those dynamic thoughts, and then all of a sudden something blue comes into your mind, that is actually up in the 5th and 6th dimension, those frequencies of those systematic grids that are reaching out and try to tell you, okay, you have options now. Let's talk about it. Let's communicate with it. And you communicate with that by establishing that presence, clearing out everything that isn't you in your 2nd dimension, seeing what's there in the 3rd dimension. Understanding that these grids permeate into the 4th dimension. They're just trying to be clarified for you. But we live in a duality. So they're always going to pick at the things that are in your subconscious, and the things that are in your subconscious are always going to bring about the negative side of your physical reality, which all manifests from 6th dimension and 7th dimension. Okay? 7th dimension is where your illusions are and where things are illuminated. And then 6th dimension is where we can actually see when they're in our resonance field. Now, if they're outside our resonance field, they're not going to be in our 6th dimensional valence. They're going to be cleverly, divinely diverted around us. Just like as if you were living in one country and horrible things are happening in another country and you're very unaware of it. Just like when you're in a horrible country where horrible things are happening, and in another country things are really, really great, but you're unaware of that because everything you're hearing is that these people are horrible. So you see what I'm saying? Like these, no matter what, the manifestation of what's in your resonance field is really what matters. It's not the people so much, especially when they're impacting us in negative ways. I did it again. God, stop licking your lips, Ryan. Okay. I think you get the point. So sometimes it requires taking a step back. Now, let me just try to give an example. When we're younger people and we're dealing with narcissist parents or narcissist siblings, or if we're even just in a relationship where we find ourselves not talking to the other people quite often because the interaction just does not work out. This is the perfect time to practice silence and presence. Now, if you find yourself this gets into passive aggression now. If you find yourself being bombarded by passive aggression, where somebody's walking by you every time giving you the evil eye, or they're just doing these things that try to get a rise out of you, practicing your presence and practicing your silence is going to be one of your greatest tools. And that is going to bring things to the 3rd dimension, which you have to be ready and willing to participate in the drama. You have to know that whatever action you take, whatever it goes on in your mind that you project is going to manifest into physical reality. Okay? And when you try to draw away from it and detach from it, it is going to manifest into physical reality still. It is constantly trying to confirm with you whether or not you still want to deal with this or not. Okay? That is why we go to presence and silence. We stop giving this energy in the system more to feed off of. We start focusing more on our breathing and our surroundings, and try to be in the moment. And every time a negative thought comes in, passive aggression, projection, you work with that. Be gentle with it, and put it outside of your valence. Just put it on the outside of your bubble, of your aura. You know, that is how we practice drawing in energy, drawing in clear energy, drawing light energy, and as you breathe out, all your skin is a membrane, and it pushes all that negative energy out further and further and further and further and further. That is why we practice that. Okay, and if you cannot battle against that and it's still permeating your membrane, then you just need to keep focusing on that. Just keep focusing on that technique. It just means you haven't done it enough. It means you haven't meditated enough. When you've meditated enough, this becomes absolutely no problem. And then so we start studying these energies that come into our valence when people project at us, whether it's passive aggressively, or if it's the dynamic actions that is manifested by the narcissist magician. Because the narcissist wouldn't be a narcissist unless they knew that they were powerful. And so one thing, now you need to stop giving the narcissist power, but you need to become aware that they are using a power, not for good. And definitely don't try to talk to them about it. Do not try to confront the narcissist in a way that points out their faults. It's not the way to do it. This is the narcissist template is the perfect example of templates that exist in our valences, that for the reason why we go inwards, to expand in our spirituality and to expand in our abilities to manifest, to not focus on the thing that we're trying to manifest. I'm trying to manifest a cup of coffee. No, it's you are going inward, and you are seeing where these energies are relevant, and where the thing in the physical reality is actually just an element of illusion. Now I can go higher and find out exactly where to draw this energy from, or where this energy is being drawn from, and I can do what I want with it. See, do as thou wilt, right? But we have conscience, we have awareness, we have conscious awareness. So we're only trying to do what's in our best interest, but at the same time, we're trying to do what is energetically in the best interest of other people. Now that doesn't always interpret into action, okay? The actions that we take aren't always the best for the best good, you know, because we don't necessarily, that's not necessarily our responsibility as people to create good for someone else. All we can do is go inward. And when we go inward, you know, the result is that we inspire the best in other people. And that is what presence can do. That is how presence can change the narcissist template in your life. Because when you start to create with that presence, and you start to show and communicate with those dynamic forces, that you are a presence in the room, not just to the people, but to the energies, the divine energies and the lower dimensional energies. When you start going inward, finding out what is strength and what is purity in your own heart, and that is your presence. That is your template that you are bringing into the higher etheric when you ascend. It shows them that you are educated in this earth school that we live in. And then it shows them that you are in this game for the higher goal, for the higher purpose, for the co-creation, and that you are accountable for those forces because you have been willing to work with them. You have been willing to work with them to the point where you understand them in a way that nobody else can say that you understand them, by getting them to revere down, to getting your awareness to revert down to lower dimensional feelers, and just getting stuck there in this template that seems to be in your resonance field everywhere, as if it ain't going to go nowhere, as if it's giving you that hit in acknowledging it every time. Take away the acknowledgement, revert back to self and silence, and your presence will be known to the etheric, and it will interpret into the narcissist, and it will get into their mind, and they will know that they have no grounds, that they are on shaky grounds when it comes to your power and your sovereignty. My name's Ryan. You've been watching The Watcher's Alchemy. I hope you got something out of this video. Let me know with a comment down below. Smash the like button. Hit subscribe if you're not. And I'll catch you with the next one.